Hello again and welcome to another one of our training videos on leadership. In this particular video, we're going to talk about a very important skill that is needed to be a leader. A skill which doesn't come easy for everybody, but a skill that should be developed over the years and improved. So what is that skill? Well, it's the ability to delegate. We'll come to these various points in a minute. What does it mean to delegate? Well, to delegate is to entrust a task or responsibility to someone else, generally in your team. It could be someone who is more junior to you, but that's not necessarily the case, which I'll show you later on. But to delegate is, and the key word is entrust. Entrusting someone else with a particular task or responsibility. So whether you're a small business, head of department, you work as a corporate executive, or you run a huge business, the ability to delegate is so important. And if we just talk about the small business for a moment, the small business owner, a very important aspect of delegation is, the key question you have to ask yourself is, am I working on my business or am I working in my business? There's a world of difference between in and on. And very briefly, if you're working in your business, it means that you are doing pretty much everything. If you're working on your business, you delegate, you surround yourself with those who are capable of doing the things you would like to do to free you up to do other things. My name is Igwe. I am a global leader in the retail real estate sector. I have about 35 years experience working across many different countries. What I've done is create, grow, and lead amazing teams during my career. So let's just stop for a moment. Are you someone who delegates easily? Do you take time to make those decisions to delegate? Or do you not delegate at all? Wherever you stand, let's work through this and I'll give you some ideas and thoughts to develop your delegating skills. Now, a very quick and simple example. If you run a department or you run a business or someone reports to you, very often you may prepare all the information to present to the client, to the board. But what about if you gave some of that away to somebody else to do? That person would then be able to provide you with the information you have. And the key thing here is you are free to do other things. You see, one example that I have, I've been able to meet with and learn, be coached, trained by some amazing people around the world. And in one particular case, many years ago now, I was in the US on a particular training program, and I met up with and still have a relationship with one of the most prolific authors on the planet, who's an amazing individual. And I was speaking about something and I asked his PA something, and she said to me in the context of that conversation, bear in mind that Mark doesn't do what he is good at. He does what he's best at and delegates the rest. Mark doesn't do what he's good at. He does what he is best at and delegates the rest. You see, smart people know how to surround themselves with people who can execute what they want to have done and get it done. So one of the top things you have to think about in delegating is, and bear in mind, don't delegate to people the things that you may not want to do. They might not be fun. They might be unenjoyable. That's not what delegating is about. That's just pushing stuff to somebody else. Delegating is about making a conscious choice around very specific tasks. So if we stop for a moment then, and we look at these 3 points, because this is what you need in order to be a good person, leader who delegates. The first thing you need to do is to decide to delegate. Now, why decide? Well, because first of all, it's not just something you glibly decide you're going to do, or you say, oh, okay, I've been listening to Chris. Chris says it's great to delegate. I'm just going to delegate. No, it has to be a conscious choice that you make, a conscious decision to delegate to somebody else, because then you're putting your energy into it by thinking about what is it that this person needs in my team for me to delegate. So decide. The next one is to embrace. Now, why do I talk about embrace when it comes to delegating? Well, let's just imagine physically you're embracing something or someone. That embrace means that you are giving and sharing yourself, your persona, your knowledge with the person who you are going to delegate to. But you embrace the idea of delegating because you want that person to succeed. And then the third one, which is linked to that, is empower. Now, empowering is a word that is very much used today in many different aspects. But here I want you to look at it from an energetic point of view. You're empowering someone. So you're taking that decision, that embracing, and then you're passing through to that person in your team the full strength of your desire for them to succeed. Because remember, in a previous video that we've looked at, we talked about why you might be a leader, why you might choose to be a leader or want to be a leader. And if you embrace the fact that leadership is about caring for those who are in your group, your company, your department, and if you care about them, what's the key thing you'll want to do? You'll want to see them grow. Delegating is about allowing other people to grow. So just a quick recap. Decide, so make a conscious decision that you want to delegate. Put the full thrust of your energy into gathering the strength, the momentum, the desire to delegate, and empowering the person or the people who you are leading to delegate. Now, bear in mind that delegation isn't just passing something to somebody else. You have to give them the strict definitions of what it is that you want them to do. What is the topic or the task? Who will they need to have as resources? Where will they need to go to find the information? What is the time frame that you've given them within which you want that to be done? Those are the main ones. But then beyond that, it's about you staying engaged with them. Don't just send them out and then they come back and maybe the report, the study, the assessment, whatever task you gave them hasn't been done to your level of expectation. You have to set the scene, monitor it, and then make sure that the project or the product is completed in the way in which you wanted. Now, for example, I have traveled a lot over my 35 plus years. On average, I'd probably say 3 days a week. But in my early career, it was 4 days a week. I had a lot of geography, a lot of ground to cover. So I was all over Europe and to the US. Traveling, I enjoy. I love the connection with people. I love seeing things on the ground. But traveling, as you know, you have to be on the one hand professional. You have to attend these dinners and lunches and everything else. You've got to be top of your game. And on one occasion, I'd been traveling for literally 5 days non-stop. 6 countries in 5 days. I woke up in a hotel room. I didn't know where I was. Literally, as many of you who travel, hotel rooms look all the same. I was totally disorientated. That can happen. So many years later, when I said to a member of my team, I've got to travel to Barcelona, And he said, "Oh, you're really lucky. I'd love to do that. Can I go?" And I said, "You're not ready yet, but when you are, you will go." See, my point is, no matter how much traveling you do, there is a time when you have to allow others to grow and do it. And I would have loved for him to travel to Barcelona, because it's a city I've visited on many occasions. I love it, but others can do some of what I do. So I trained him up, and in the end, he was able to travel on a couple of trips, and then monitored what he did, but had to set up what the expectation was when he travels. What meetings, who to meet, when, where, how, what he should bring back as information, how he should conduct himself. Because being on his own, a young, unmarried man who hadn't travelled to the extent that I had, there are things that you do and don't do. And so it was important that he understood, and I gave him the rules of what I expected in terms of delegation. Now, another simple one that you may identify with, and I'm sure this is easier for many of you to understand. My wife suggested that I go to a parent-teachers meeting because she couldn't attend. No problem. I said I'd do it, and I went along. I came back with what I thought was all the information that she needed to understand what I needed to gather. But she asked me a whole series of questions. How many of you have had that? Where your spouse has asked you, did you ask this? Did you say this? Did you do this? And before you know it, you realize, or I realized very sheepishly, I hadn't fulfilled her expectations. Now, she said that she was very clear. I said that she wasn't. But isn't that the fundamental part of delegation? Especially those in your team or your department who are ultra confident. As far as they're concerned, you don't need to tell them. They know what they have to do, they know when, they know how, they'll bring back the information you asked for. But the reality is, it's not that. So when you've got super confident people in your team, it's even more important to make sure that they understand what it is that you want. The information has to be absolutely clear. Now, as I said to you, delegation is about down to your juniors, so somebody maybe in your team. It could also be, even if you're a director of department or you are a head of a division, it could be that you delegate to other members of your peer group. But it could also be that you delegate upwards. Maybe people don't use this as effectively as perhaps they should. But I remember one particular case where the delegation was indeed upwards, or delegating was upwards, to ensure that what I wanted was done in a way in which I expected. And so it's transpired that I was going to a trade association meeting. I'd been invited, and the brand I was working for at the time they'd given us a fantastic location within that exhibition space. It was a time in which I was repositioning the brand, and I wanted and needed our European CEO to be present. Now, he didn't want to attend the trade show. It was not his thing. He did not like it, did not enjoy it. And I wanted him to speak as well, but he turned it down and said, "I can't do it, Chris, you're on your own." I insisted. I can be quite persuasive. And eventually he cracked and he said, "Okay, I'll come along." He did. It was a great event. The organizers loved it. I loved it. My team loved it. And he was able to connect. He told me afterwards that he never wanted to do that again, so I should never invite him to participate. But you know the funny thing? He actually uses that story on countless occasions about what he learned, what he experienced, what he enjoyed, the connection with the industry and business people. So I'd like to think that I contributed to him growing in that field and understanding more about being out of his comfort zone. So you can delegate up. You can ask for support from your boss or from somebody else more senior in the company, because it helps your business, your department, and helps you to grow. So just to recap, to delegate is a critically important part of leadership. It is like a muscle that needs to be flexed the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But you have to do it conscious of the fact that you're contributing to not only freeing you to do the things that you are best at, but helping others to grow. You're putting a hand down to help somebody up to wherever they want to be or where they need to be. And you will see them grow in the same way that you will grow, because your leadership will be even more respected. So if this video has spoken to you, please connect, click on the link, understand how you may be able to participate or be involved in some of the exclusive programs that we've put together, and you can enjoy this journey. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. Click on the notification so you know when new videos are coming out. And until then, have a great day.